What's up, everybody? It's Kyle once again with another episode of Unlocking Your Inner Strength. This is episode 138. And what I want to go over today is happiness. So I've been doing a lot of work on the goal setting workshops I'm going to be having at each gym coming up. And it's an area that's very misunderstood for people as far as how to set goals. But more importantly, what is the purpose of any goal that we set? And I may never have even met you when you're listening to this, whoever's listening to this out there, but I know what the purpose of all of your goals are, because the purpose of any goal is to increase your level of happiness. So with that in mind, I thought I would do one or two shows just about happiness, and what it is, my views on it, and how do we attain happiness. So the problem when we think of goals is we make the mistake of thinking that once we achieve something, we're going to become happy. That's not how it works, though. You don't achieve something and then find happiness. Happiness is not this pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And I've talked about it many times in the past. When I first started competing in bodybuilding shows, the first couple times after the show, I would go into this big funk, this state of freeze mode or depression for months, because I was focusing so much on the end event, which was the bodybuilding competition. And I thought that day would make me something. And afterwards I'd be happy because I was ripped, or I would win, and that would make me happy. But what I found was just empty feeling, right? And then as time went on, I realized, okay, if you're gonna keep competing, you gotta view this differently. And then I started really looking at the aspect of the process. The process was the happiness, and that's what Buddha said, right? The happiness is the path, it's not the destination. So keep that in mind. It's the path, not the destination. That brings me into the first point about happiness. If you have somebody that's got, let's say $2 billion, right? An amount of money that most people cannot even comprehend. $2 billion. And let's say they lose $1 billion. They are not going to be happy about that, even though they still have all the money in the world to buy whatever they want, to do whatever they want, to have all the freedom that they want. So why would they not be happy if they had something that everybody out there thinks, oh, if I had $1 billion, I'll be happy? It's because of the direction they're going. If you're going backwards, if you're reverting and regressing, you're not going to be happy. If you're going forward, if you have $100 to your name, but you're working on your passion, and you're seeing some traction, and you're using your creativity and your unique talents, you're going to be happy. So it has to do with the direction we're going. That's where goals can become a positive thing, because they point us in a certain direction. They point us in a certain direction. And happiness is a day in, minute by minute thing, day in, day out. It's not when we achieve the goal, right? Go back to the goal setting podcast I did a few episodes ago to listen to more about that. But it's an everyday thing. Happiness is your thoughts. So one of the things you can do is you can write down, I'll give you 3-3-3. You can write down 3 wins, which is working on your strategic confidence. Write that down every night. 3 wins that you had for the prior day. And a lot of times these things are going to be something little that you would overlook, because we're taught to look for these big grand slams, 360 dunk, Hail Mary touchdown pass type of events that we think are supposed to make us happy. But a lot of times the wins are just these little things. Yesterday, one of my big wins was going for our family hike, which I really look forward to give you an example. So write down 3 wins. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. right? 3 things that you're grateful for. Gratitude will direct the mind, because happiness, again, is just the thoughts we're having. Just like overwhelmed is just a thought. Overwhelm is just the thoughts that you're having about everything you think you need to do. Think about that. Overwhelm is nothing more than a thought about thinking all the things that you need to be doing and thinking out too far into the future. So the further we think out into the future, it's gonna rob you of your happiness. Now remember, happiness is something that's gonna be up and down either way, because the brain is hardwired for the negative. But beyond happiness is joy. Joy is something that you can have all the time. And that requires an evolution and a self-awareness and a commitment to growth. But going back to the thoughts that we're having. So 3 things that you're grateful for, then write down also, I am happy when, and write down 3 things. I've been doing that for about the past week, that last one, which is something new for me. And it's amazing because, I wrote down today's already. It's I'm happy when I'm getting to watch a meaningful sporting event. For to me, tonight, that's hanging out with my buddies, watching the national championship in football. It's when I'm creating. So I get to create a lot of stuff on Mondays. I get to do my podcast, get to write. It's real simple things. And I actually went to Lowe's Friday with Munchie, and I bought 7 big whiteboards. They're actually shower boards, and that's a cool little tip I figured out way back when I started the pit in my parents' basement. The big whiteboards that you could buy, for like official whiteboards, were like a couple $100, and I didn't have any money at that time. So I went to Lowe's and bought shower board, screwed them up, and I found out that they work exactly the same way. So now that I think a lot of people do that. But I bought 7 of them. A couple for the gyms, or actually most of them for the gyms, but 1 for the house. And 1 for the house, I'm going to put, if Devin lets me put in here in the kitchen or something, I don't think she will, but I'm going to put it somewhere in the house where her and I each write a couple things each week that we're happy when we're doing X. And any guests, any friends, any visitors that come over, we're going to have them write 1 thing on there, initial it, and date it. So it's going to be the happiness board, which is just a simple thing to direct your attention. So with that too, you're going to find, just like your wins, that the things you're happiest when you're doing are little simple things. They're not these grand things. And once you realize that, you can create your own happiness because you can do the things that are simple to do. And the way my mind works, being an entrepreneur and whatnot, I know that you cannot improve anything that you do not measure. If you want to improve your golf score, you got to know where you're starting. If you want to improve your financial statement, you got to know where you're starting. You got to measure your budget. If you want to improve your bench press, you got to measure. If you want to drop some body fat, you got to measure. So fun is one of the 5 F's that I always work on, right? The F5 system: fun, focus, fitness, family, and finance. You have to be able to measure this. So each week, I would recommend that maybe you put a fun quota. Are you going to watch an hour total of, for me, like a show like The Office, that's just funny, makes me laugh out loud, and brings back good memories? So that might be an hour a week, sprinkling that in late at night, or might be reading an hour a week of pleasure books, novels. For me, reading about Bigfoot. I love my Bigfoot books. It's a good escape for me. So that's just another thing, right? Music is something that we can use to increase happiness. So I talked about when I watch The Office, it brings back good memories. That's Hebb's Law. Music is very, very, very powerful at being able to do that. Hebb's Law is what gets fired together, gets wired together. So your favorite songs or your favorite music are your favorite because you heard those songs at a point in your life that was memorable and magical and a lot of cool stuff going on. And music can bring you right back there, like instantaneously. So that show, Stranger Things, me and Devin like. The show's good, but to me, the thing I like better about it is all the nostalgia, all the 80s stuff that's within there. It brings back a lot of memories. So music, you can put on, put together a playlist, your favorite songs that you have, and listen to that every day. It's going to change your state instantly. And last thing I want to talk about with with happiness is remember that fun is going to allow you to escape. But if you do too much of it, right, fun can lead to things like drinking too much or just obsessive compulsive behavior or addiction, or just fun's really an escape. It's an off switch. It's an off switch. So that's why you have to use it wisely. The things that we find fun, a lot of the times are meant to increase things like oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, these different endorphins within the brain, because they're all built around survival. So the reason men and women like sex is it feels good, it's fun, but it increases the chances of survival. And that goes down to the whole mind map thing and goes down that whole road. Remember, fun, have a quota for it, but it can also turn very quickly into just an escape mechanism, and that's not what we're looking for, right? So that is all I have about happiness for today. Go back and listen to it. It's under 12 minutes. Remember, I keep these short, guys, so you can listen to them on your next car drive, your next 10-minute walk or 12-minute walk. And please remember to hit the share button, whether you're checking it out on Facebook, if you found something useful within this. And if you're listening to it on iTunes, please send it, share it via text message, and please leave a review on iTunes when you get a chance. And I'll be back next week with episode 139. Peace.